Hi, Feroshia. How are you?
I'm wonderful. And I'm so glad that we could be together because you're up in Vancouver, BC, and I bet you're having better weather by the windows I'm looking at through your screen. So,
Well, it's raining here and a bit gray, but usual Vancouver weather, sort of like Portland.
I don't know. I think we've got you topped. We've got the incredible windstorm. So I'm actually forgot to mention that before we jumped in. I may lose power.
Okay, fingers crossed we stay on.
Yes. Oh, well, hello, everyone. This is Feroshia from Coach Training World, and I'm sitting here screen to screen with Claire Yeung, who's up in Vancouver, BC. And Claire, I think, when I first met you, you came in, you were an attorney, you were an extreme achiever, go-getter, runner, athlete, biker, woo! And yet you kind of felt like you were in a big mud, I guess. And I'm thinking of just
Yes.
running through mud and biking through mud, not necessarily literally, but you were in this place where you were starting to recreate your life. And 3 years later, you have become masterful at really living your dreams in multiple dimensions. I'm so thrilled that you're going to share some of those secrets with us. And I kind of would love to share with everyone a little bit of your history before you became your magnificent self. I know, was that embarrassing?
A little bit. I'm super excited to be here today, so thanks for inviting me. I think the turning point for me in deciding to pursue just a life that I love was in 2012 when I was struck by a mysterious illness. And all of a sudden I was training for, and yes, I am a runner, and I was training for the Vancouver International Marathon. All of a sudden I went out for a run one day and I couldn't run like 1 mile, let alone, the 26.2 that I'd have to run in the marathon. And so then that led me to going to the doctor, and months and months and months went by and I was tested for absolutely everything under the sun. Poked and prod and blood, everything you could imagine, I was tested for. And at the end of the day, they couldn't find anything. And the doctors decided, it just must be some mysterious virus. It'll go away at some point. You'll just have to ride it out. And I spent 6 months trying to ride out this crazy virus that, nobody knew what it was. But all I knew was I felt awful and I could barely get up to go to work. So one day I had an epiphany that, I have to take care of my health. That has to come first because I can't be good to anyone if I'm not healthy and if I'm not able to be who I am. And that's what led me to quitting my job and walking away. Holy smokes, I think that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. So in September of 2012, I walked away from my 6-figure job as an attorney with no plan, zero plan, just knowing that, okay, well, I will have no income, and here I am. And so I spent a number of months just reflecting on, well, what do I want to be when I grow up? That question that everybody asks you when you're 6 years old and you say, a fireman or whatever. And here I was at the age of 50 asking myself, well, what do I want to be when I grow up? So that's sort of what opened the door for me to get to where I am now. And it's been just a crazy journey, and you were such a huge part of it.
Aw. So I'm going to be honest here. I didn't know you didn't have a plan.
No, I had zero plan. It was just to regain my health. I mean, that was my plan, I have to get better. I cannot go through life feeling the way I feel because, I woke up feeling like the Walking Dead. And I thought, well, this can't be right. This cannot be how I'm going to live the rest of my life. And reflecting back on that now and looking back at that time, I think part of it was that I suffered career burnout, total and complete career burnout. I had just gotten to the end of my rope in terms of being an attorney, and I didn't realize it. So that was a little scary. When I finally figured that out, it was a little scary.
It's interesting because I hear that often from people. They wait till the bitter end.
Yes.
And And it's like, uh-oh, the road's end. There's a block. Now what? And
Yeah.
From that place, it sounded like you were able to overcome any fear, anxiety, and just trust yourself to let go.
And that's
a 6-figure income. Seriously.
Yeah, that was probably the hardest part for me. And partly, I think it was because of the fact that, we all have limiting beliefs. And one of mine was really how I would show up to my family. What would they think? That, this crazy idea, having grown up in a very achiever-oriented family, what would they think? That what do you mean you're leaving? What do you mean you're doing nothing? And what do you mean you have no income? And that was the hardest part, was overcoming that limiting belief of, well, what would people think of me because of what I was doing? And being able to just jump off that cliff and say, you know what? I know that I have to take this leap of faith because there's something better out there. And the first day I came to Coach Training World, when I started my coaching training, I knew I was home. I knew that this is where I wanted to be, and that this is where I was going to find my life and my hopes and my dreams. And that was super powerful. I still remember coming up those stairs, entering the room, and there you were, and there was Sandy was there too, Sandy Parks.
Mm.
And it was totally feeling like, holy smokes, this is where my heart and my soul belongs. And I'm going to cry just even talking about that, because it was so incredibly powerful for me.
Well, you're already making me cry. Thanks. Pull it together. Isn't that what we're supposed to do, right? Pull it together.
Well, exactly.
Oh, and the journey I've watched you. You plowed through the training. You took the advanced training with the story artistry, and then you decided to go even bigger. You got branded. You wrote a book, and I'd love to hear about kind of, now you're on the other end of that place. What's happening now?
Okay. Well, and I have to talk a little about the book, just because, again, all roads go back to that first day when I met you. And you handed out a book to each of us in class that was, it was a collection of stories from coaches who had graduated from the program at Coach Training World. And when you handed me the book, I said, I think something along the lines of, I've always wanted to write a book. And you looked at me and said, I think you've got a book in you. And that planted the seed for, what was to come. And so that was such another, big giant step for me to be able to build from there to, one, build my coaching practice, and getting my credentials, and then figuring out, okay, well, how do I start up my own business? I mean, that was a huge leap of faith as well for me. That, do I join a company and become, an internal coach, or do I join some kind of consulting business that also offers coaching? And at the end of the day, just reaching into my heart of hearts, I knew that I had to start my own business, because for me to do what I wanted to do and to be able to coach the clients that I wanted to coach, and also to be able to write the book that needed to be written, I had to be in control of my life and my world and how I was going to do it.
Atta girl. And I have to say, I've always experienced you as being completely in control. You really have such a good direction. You're good at making decisions. And, so there's a part of me that's appreciating the uncertainty piece that you're sharing here, that's kind of underneath the surface, that I'm guessing many of us can relate to. Like, I'm sure, I think.
Well, and thank you for saying that. And that's such an interesting comment, because I am, what my friends and family call a high control person. I like to be able to be in control of my environment and everything in my life. And the interesting thing about that is that was also one of my limiting beliefs, being able to let go of being able to control everything. Because when you start up a business, there are a lot of things you can't control. All I can control is what I put out there, what I do, how I show up and how I am. But that doesn't guarantee that I'm going to get, hundreds of people running to my door to want to be coached. All I can be is my authentic self. And, in the past 3 years, learning that piece of it, learning to know that all I can be and all I can control is who I am, how I show up, and how I can be my best every day of my life for, whether it be for my clients or, my friends and family and people in my life, or even the people at the grocery store that I meet. Learning that that's all I can control has been a huge learning experience for me.
Do you have some tips for other people that what made it possible for you?
I think it really was about overcoming those limiting beliefs and learning to let go. And I have to credit Janelle and Suzanne from my coaching courses who, we did coaching exchanges when we were working on getting our ACC and our WPCC designations. And the two of them in our various coaching, and both of them have very different techniques in how they coach, and each of them in their own way helped me to overcome my limiting belief of needing to control everything, to be able to line everything up as I would like it to be, because I learned that, wow, that doesn't serve me. And to be able to now sort of self-coach myself through asking myself, well, how is this action or how is this belief of hanging on or being afraid or not wanting to go forward with something because, well, I just don't know how it's going to turn out. Learning to let go of that limiting belief. And I actually formed an image in my head of, basically putting something into the ocean, into the water, and letting it go, and being able to, whether it be a twig or a leaf or whatever it is, being able to let that go and putting it out into the universe and allowing that energy to bring it back to me, bring whatever it is that needs to come back to me. And I think my biggest tip for anyone in terms of wanting to move forward is to take a deep breath and allow yourself to champion your own beliefs and to believe that you are, and you told us this, Feroshia, that we are enough. You are enough. And just do what your heart tells you to do, because good things will come from it. And I know it sounds hokey and oola boola and a bit crazy, but that's been my journey. The past 2 years since graduating from Coach Training World, that's been my journey of just put it out there and believe and send it out into the universe. And I send my intentions out that this is my goal. This is where I want to be. I send that intention out there. And then every day, and this is a practice I started about 6 months ago, of asking myself at the end of every day, did I do my best to accomplish the goals I've set for myself? And if the answer is yes, I ask myself, well, what can I continue doing to stay on that path and to keep going? And if the answer is no, what can I do differently tomorrow to make sure that I get back on that path and get to where I want to be and build the life I want to build, in addition to, and the greatest thing I think of all of this is that my life and my work are one. It's not, I have a life outside of work, which was what it was when I was an attorney. My life and work and everything is just holistic, and it's one, and it's a beautiful place to be. And I never, ever thought that I would ever be here in my wildest dreams. And that's really awesome.
Yeah. And I really want to emphasize something you shared. Did you do your best to go and get those actions and those goals versus did I get them done?
Yes.
There's a huge difference there in the feeling. And I'm imagining, that something has really catapulted you to recognize the process as opposed to just the accomplishment.
Absolutely. And, one of the ways I came to knowing that was that I realized that as I was training for marathons and half marathons and, long bike rides, whatever it was, that it was the process that I loved. I loved the training. It wasn't so much the racing. It was the journey.
Yeah.
And exactly. And that, and that was another thing that I came to realize through the peer coaching with Janelle and Suzanne. I mean, both of them made me see that, wow, I'm all about the journey. And being able to see that, and I take just so much pleasure and honor in being able to help my clients find their own journeys, and being able to be part of somebody's journey for that very short blip of time while they're going to wherever it is they want to go is hugely beautiful.
Yes, it is. And speaking of journeys, would you be willing to talk about your journey in terms of writing your book? I know that's such a dream of so many people to actually get through and publish it and market it. What inspired, first of all, the book?
I think more than anything that was my healing process. It was my way of coming back from, the career burnout, the mysterious virus, all of that was the only way I knew how to heal myself, to get myself back to where I wanted to be in terms of moving forward in my own journey. And so I guess what really inspired the book was that there was something in me that needed to come out and be written. And now that it's done, when I look at it, I think what it was that I really wanted to, and this is going to sound crazy and also very hokey, I wanted to start a revolution so that people can start thinking about, well, what would I regret not doing in my lifetime? So the book is all about, it's entitled The 80-Year Rule. And it's all about what would you regret not doing in your lifetime. And the rule comes from my partner, Vivian. When she was in law school, or when she just graduated from law school, she wanted to buy a motorcycle. And all her life, people had told her that's dangerous. Her parents had always said, no, don't do it. And, you're going to die, you'll crash, all of these things. And so she asked herself, well, when I'm 80 and looking back on my life, would I regret not doing this? She thought, hell yes. And so she learned to ride a motorcycle, bought one, and then took it to Europe and toured around for 6 months. And so that's where that rule came from. And so, we've been together for 20 years now, and she has always lived that rule. I haven't. And it's only been sort of in the last, 5 or so years that I've finally learned to embrace the rule of, what would I regret not doing in my lifetime? Go out and do it, and just live it. And so that's where the book comes from, and it's just part of my journey.
And the revolution, that's not hokey.
It is a bit, but I thought, other people can do this too. I'm not special. I'm not different. I am like anybody else. And if I can do it, so can they.
I would agree that if you can do it, so can they, but we all are special.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
Equally special. But,
yes.
I'm going to pop a big question on you. So what's on your list of you must do before you're 80?
Well, I haven't actually told anybody this really, but
good.
But really to take time and just visit different places in the world and not like as a visitor or a tourist, but to go and live, in a small village in France for 3 months of the year. Go and find a small village in Portugal and live for 3 months of the year. So really just go and experience different cultures and different people, and really blend with the culture in learning how they live and being in that culture. And and the reason why I haven't told people this is just because I think it sounds, a lot of people think, well, that's just crazy. How can you just, drop everything, drop your job, drop your life, and go and live somewhere for 3 months? But I think, wow, what a huge learning opportunity. That for me as a lifelong learner, what's the best way to learn but to be somewhere and actually learn from the people, from the culture. And just, something so simple as, the learning to cook the food of the region that you're in, drinking the wine in the region that you're in. All of those really great things, and being able to connect, which also means I'm going to have to learn a whole lot of languages in the next little while. So I've got my work cut out for me.
Well, and it's completely doable.
I believe it is. I just have to put a plan in place, and you know me, I'm a planner, and just one step at a time. And first, maybe we'll do the village in France, just because my partner Vivian speaks fluent French, so that's easier for us because we'll be able to communicate with people there. And then we'll branch out and go places where we don't know how to speak the language, and we go and we learn.
Absolutely. And because of what you do, being a coach, author, speaker, teacher, you can take that anywhere in the world through the internet.
Yes, that's the beauty of technology.
Yes. Yeah. I'm really curious, what's next? The book's done, you're coaching people, and you talked a little bit prior to when we got on air about some of the work you're doing in the law schools, it sounded like.
In the Justice Institute. So it's teaching future law enforcement folks.
Oh, police officers.
Yes.
Ah. Wow. Wow.
It's been an incredible experience teaching. I mean, they're young adults in their 20s, and getting to see the future generation, so to speak, that's coming up. And, people always talk about, this generation, the millennials, we're in trouble. And I choose to believe, and I know for a fact, just having spent the last few months teaching a couple of courses to these guys, that we're not in trouble. That there are a lot of brilliant, beautiful minds waiting to get out there. And I didn't think that I would, connect as much as I have with people who are, young enough to be my kids. But I don't have kids for a reason, because I don't think I'm good with children, but that's a whole other thing. But
I think you're proving that wrong. Young adults.
Young adults, yes. And just, connecting with them and challenging them to just think and think about issues, think about, and I've approached my teaching much like a coach, that yeah, I will give you some information, but the best thing I can do for you is to teach you how to think and teach you how to analyze and look at situations and figure it out for yourself, because that's a skill you'll need. Whatever I lecture at you about, labor law or human resources or whatever that may be, how to negotiate, that's all really interesting, but that's not going to make you a better human being. And being able to connect with them on that level. And I know for them, with the first couple of lectures, they thought, you are nuts. You are not like any of our other instructors. What the hell? But, they got used to it, and then they started to participate, and they have ideas. They have all sorts of ideas, and some of which I think are brilliant. So I hope that they will honor their brilliance and get out there and do their thing, which also gives me so much hope, which is also an incredible way to feel about, just the world and life and just being.
I'm sitting here feeling a little, I guess it's awestruck, in the sense that you came into a situation where your health was challenged. And, just a few years later, you're working with people that are responsible for the care of other people on a on a, what do you call it, a magnanimous scale. Mm-hmm. I mean, these people are, maybe they're in their 20s right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Think about when you were 20.
Oh, I know.
Which is available to us, right?
Oh, exactly. Which is why I'm so impressed with all of these young people. I compare them to myself in my 20s, and I thought, wow, I went to law school because my parents said you should go to law school. But these kids are thinking for themselves, and these are fabulous young adults, and I feel it's such an honor and a privilege to get to teach these young adults. And every day, you know, when I go to class to teach, I totally feel that it's an honor and a privilege for me to be there. You know, yeah, I'm being paid, but beyond that, just getting that chance to connect has been just, I think for me as a coach, just, you know, just something that adds to my life.
Well, and you also, I mean, I love the fact, because let me slow down here. I'm kind of like overwhelmed. It's like, I didn't realize that, Claire. That's awesome. You guys are so awesome. Author, speaker, teacher, coach, life changer, game changer. Hello.
Well, thank you. And just for me, it's been just like you say, right, a process and a journey.
Yeah.
And every single day, and you know, I would not have thought this 3 years ago when I was going through this mysterious virus and illness, that I would wake up every single day just so grateful for the chance to do what I do. And, you know, and I am going to start to cry, because that you can't buy that. You know, no amount of money could ever buy that feeling to wake up grateful that, wow, today's another day where I get to do something awesome because I'm connecting with another individual who I know is brilliant and, you know, has a fabulous journey ahead of them. You know, whether it be my teaching or coaching or speaking. And just the fact that what I do opens up the door for me to meet so many amazing, brilliant people. I am just so, well, at this point, I'm just speechless beyond belief that, you know, such good fortune has come my way just because I threw it out into the universe that this is how I would like my journey to unfold. And you can't buy that.
Nope.
And so it was worth it walking away from my, you know, 6-figure job as an attorney.
Yeah. And I think, you know, it's important for other people to know that you don't know what's on the other end. And
No, exactly.
our minds, you know, just talking neuroscience for a moment, are so programmed to think worst case scenario, saber-toothed tiger. And, you know, all I ever hear is once you get over the fear and you put on the wings, there is no cliff.
Exactly.
There is no cliff. Except the one that lives back in the amygdala.
Yeah. Exactly. And that it's not a saber-toothed tiger, but it is, right? It's that whole image and your limiting beliefs and all of those things that we've all built up from our past, from what people have told us, all of that sort of thing. And being able to say, you know what, I'm going to step through that door anyways, in spite of that.
I'm going to be alive and awake.
Exactly. And that's so awesome.
It is. If I wanted to get a copy of your book, how would I do that?
On my website, or it's on Amazon, it's on iUniverse, it's on Barnes & Noble, so you can buy it online. And it's available in hard copy as well as an ebook.
Perfect. And because we can't see your website because of our technical fun earlier, do you want to go ahead and let everybody know what that is?
Sure. So my website is www.claireyeung.com, and Claire Yeung is spelled CLAIREYEUNG.
.com.
Yes.
Love it. So I'm curious, I really appreciate our time together. And what I really love about you, Claire, is you are an extreme achiever. You can own that.
It's taken me years to own it, but I do now.
But you're driven by a humanity, an element of generosity, of appreciation, gratitude, that feels so much deeper than just the doing aspect of what we think about in an achiever. And so I just really appreciate that, you know, you're bringing your gifts to the world, and even more importantly, you're showing the way for other people to do the same. And I have to give you a virtual hug.
Thank you.
And, you know, I love hearing from you, and I really want to see you glow in the world even bigger. Because I think that many of us that really come from the heart, sometimes there's a little bit of us that we stay in the shadows. And I'm going to invite you to not stay in the shadow, because you are a light to many people. I've seen you, you spoke about Janelle and Suzanne, and you were the same for other people as well. So I'm just putting it back on you. And I would love to hear what happens next. So you're coaching people?
Yes.
One-on-one. Are there other ways people might be able to work with you?
I'm hoping to start up some workshops. I haven't figured out how to do it online yet, so that's something I would like to try. So maybe sometime next year, if I can get my sort of technology sorted out and figure out how to do it. And I'm also planning to also do some in-person workshops as well. And obviously the book promotion continues, and I'm hoping to do some workshops out of that as well. So a bit of planning ahead of me.
Your favorite.
Yeah.
And yet you didn't plan the big leap.
Exactly.
That's a whole other conversation.
Exactly.
Awesome. Was there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to share with everyone before we complete our connection today?
I think I just want to say thanks to Coach Training World for opening up this incredible universe to me. I couldn't have done it without the training and without you guys, and being able to come to a place that felt like home from the first moment I was there just has changed my life. So thank you, Feroshia, and thank you for making me part of the Coach Training World family.
Mm-hmm. And you could have done it without us, but
I don't think so.
We're better.
Absolutely. Way better.
Yes. And I think, that's the beauty of coming together with like minds and energies, so that we feel strong and we find that home place in ourselves and in a community that's highly supportive. So yeah. My dear friend, so good to see you.
So nice to see you, Feroshia.
I'm still speechless. I'm like, oh. Oh, thanks, Claire. I really appreciate our time together, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thanks, Feroshia. Talk to you soon.
Mwah.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.